Hello and welcome to my channel. This is story number 50, bit of a milestone, and actually it is the first story which I have written for children. Parents, you can look at the notes to see whether it is suitable for age group, but I suspect it's maybe 6 to 10, something like that. The words that it is based on are below. And for any kids watching, I get random words from an online text generator, and I have to use those words in the story, and I also have to base my story around some ideas that come to mind when I hear those words. And this is the story, and it's called At the Watering Hole. Henrietta Hippo and her friends Ollie the Ostrich and Victoria Vulture were resting by the waterhole one day, enjoying the late evening sunlight and discussing their day. "What have you been doing, Henrietta?" said Ollie, licking his long eyelashes to remove some dust that had gathered there. "Mostly sitting in the water chewing the reeds." "What did you think I'd be doing? Mathematics?" Henrietta had a very sarcastic sense of humour. "What about you, Ollie?" "I've been dealing with some very determined worms." "Oh?" said Henrietta. "What do you mean?" "They were determined not to be eaten," said the ostrich, "but I changed their minds." Victoria Vulture fell off her perch with laughter. "What about you, Vicky?" said Ollie. "Thinking about your stomach, like always?" "Of course," Victoria said. "I'd tell you about my dinner, but it would probably make you sick." "Really?" said Henrietta. "Go on, give us a hint." "Mostly dead things," Victoria replied. "Dead things covered in maggots and flies." Silence fell around the watering hole. It was always a mistake to ask Victoria about her eating habits. Suddenly there was the sound of engines, and with it the thundering of many hooves. The surface of the water rippled. The distant horizon became a blurry haze of dust thrown up by a galloping herd. "Oh no, here they come again," said Henrietta, "in time to disrupt my supper." "Supper?" said Ollie, amazed. "Didn't you just finish dinner?" 12 minutes ago," admitted Henrietta, "but these reeds take a lot of chewing. I'll just be down here if you need me." And with that, she sunk beneath the swirling water to root around for some tasty shoots. Ollie waited for the herd to rush by, and moments later, 15 terrified wildebeest rumbled by, splashing through the water to the veldt on the other side. But they were not running for the enjoyment of it. They were being chased. "Uh-oh," thought Ollie, "this can't be good." Victoria took off to get a better look. "Hunters!" she called down. "Coming this way!" Ollie stuck his head in the ground and pretended to be a bush. Victoria circled overhead, warning any other animals nearby to avoid the watering hole. 2 jeeps full of humans with guns bounced down to the water's edge, but the wildebeest were hidden in a cloud of thick dust on the other side of the water, and all the hunters' bullets missed their marks. The men inside the jeeps argued about driving through the water, but in the end they didn't want to get wet, so they fired off a few more shots after the escaping herd and let them go. As they were about to turn their vehicles around and leave, one of the hunters spotted a strange white bush quivering by the side of the water. It was Ollie, with his body stuck into the air and his head still hidden in the ground. "Is that what I think it is?" said the man, scratching his moustache. "That'll make me a nice, comfortable pillow." The others laughed as they reloaded their weapons. They were enjoying themselves. Victoria, watching from above, became very angry indeed. The hunter with the moustache levelled his gun. Victoria screeched down from the sky and pushed the barrel to one side with her claws, just as the hunter fired. The bullet blasted a few feathers from Ollie's side, but he wasn't hurt. Ollie popped his head out of the ground and took off, running at amazing speed. The hunter shot angrily at Victoria, but she had spiralled up towards the sun, and they couldn't see her properly. "There! What's that?" cried another hunter, pushing his greasy blonde hair out of his eyes. There was a line of bubbles moving across the surface towards them. A second later, something exploded out of the water. It was Henrietta, angry, with her mouth full of wet pondweed. "Get out of here! You're disrupting my supper, and shooting at my friends isn't polite." she yelled, but to the hunters it sounded like "Arrgh!" since none of them were clever enough to understand Hippo. The hunters, terrified, pointed their guns at Henrietta, who was running surprisingly fast for a creature who weighed the same as the jeep she was attacking. With an explosion of feathers, Ollie, who could run even faster than Henrietta, leapt into the midst of the second jeep, whilst Victoria dived from the sky like a bullet and pierced the first vehicle's tyres with her sharp beak so that it wobbled and the hunters' bullets missed their targets. Henrietta roared as she got close to the frightened men, who dropped their weapons and turned the vehicles round, racing across the plain. One of them hit a rock and threw two of the hunters out into a very spiky bush. "That's going to hurt," said Ollie, as one of the hunters emerged from the spiky bush, pulling spines from his posterior. Victoria, once again, couldn't stop laughing, as the men in the jeeps argued with one another and trundled away. Just to be safe, the animals pursued the disappointed hunters to the edge of the nature reserve. "They will be back," said Henrietta gloomily. Victoria stopped laughing. "And we will be ready for them. I'm going to go and warn Rodrigo the rhino and Catherine the cheetah." "Not to mention Ebenezer elephant," said Ollie. "He won't want to be left out." They all agreed they would protect their bit of the environment from the stupid men who wanted to kill them for sport. "Let's get back to proper civilization," said Henrietta. The others knew she meant the watering hole, her favourite place in the entire world. "Those tasty reeds won't eat themselves," she said. "Don't worry, I'll leave some for you too." The sun was glowing a fiery red on the horizon, and they had a fair old walk back to the watering hole, to Henrietta's supper, and a good night's sleep for them all. The end. So, I hope you enjoyed that. Do leave a comment if you did. I haven't put a link to another story because I'm not sure any of them are kid-friendly, but you can have a little dig through if you wish to follow up with something else, or subscribe to the channel, and maybe I'll write another one sometime. And we'll see you all soon. Bye.